So I got caught. I was working remotely, two full-time jobs at the same time, and I got caught. Um, I'll talk a little bit about how I got caught, what led up to me getting caught, how that whole interaction went. But first, I just want to talk a little bit about, remote work, working from home, working more than one job. It's November 2022, and there is a kind of an overemployment and remote work craze happening right now in the job market. So you're seeing this more and more. And the purpose of this video is to kind of to speak to those people who are, maybe thinking of working two remote jobs at the same time, to kind of give you a little bit of this is what happens if. Just so that you understand the risks as I did when I took them.
Growing trend called overemployment. Overemployment is when employees secretly work two full-time jobs simultaneously, remotely. Not like working a double shift, but working both jobs 9 to 5, without telling their bosses what they're doing. While some say this may be unethical, the overemployed say it's fair because they're tired of employers exploiting and undercompensating them. Yeah, it's the new workers' revolution. Instead of going on strike, workers will rise up and work even more, but secretly. That'll show the capitalist pigs. This overemployment movement has grown exponentially as the economy has gone worse over the past year. On Reddit, the overemployed subreddit had 6,000 members in January 2022, and now in October, it has nearly 100,000 members. There's a whole community for it on the website overemployed.com. Overemployed.com's founder, who simply goes by Isaac, said, "My stress has actually gone down. Mental health is up, way up. I'm not stressed by layoffs or the thought that I can't make my next mortgage payment. They're less stressed working two full-time jobs." I know what you're thinking. These millennials are so lazy. Only working two full-time jobs? Maybe they'd have time to work 3 or 4 if they'd lay off the avocado toast and quit going to so many brunches, am I right?
So I work, currently I live in Maryland, and I work in Virginia and Maryland, although the two jobs that I'm talking about were both remote. One of the jobs I've had for about 4 years, I work as an accountant, and I can do that remotely, right? So the first job, I've been with the company, like I said, for about 4.5 years. It wasn't always a remote job. The job was originally in the office. And then when COVID hit, like many companies, they transitioned to, remote work, which has been great, and I've enjoyed it. But like everyone, I had the desire to kind of double my income, so to speak. I wasn't that busy with my first job, and I figured I could probably push myself and handle two jobs, and it'd be nice to double the income. I'm having a baby, just had a little girl, and 3 weeks ago, so it'd be nice to do that. And I will say that it was very nice. I was able to do it. I will say this, working two full-time remote jobs is pretty demanding, but if you work hard, I'm sure you're able to do it. The majority of issues arise from poor time management. And so I can say that's one thing that you have to have if you're going to try to do two remote full-time jobs is good time management. But I will talk a little bit about how I got caught, because that's the purpose of this video. So, and then to preface that, let me just say that both of my jobs were at-will employment jobs. So, and this is something that I learned after, though, is that my first job, the one that I had for 4 years, had a clause in the employment contract that I signed when I took the job that basically prohibited me from having two jobs. So if you did have two jobs, it was a breach of contract, and you were not in compliance with the employment contract that you signed. So that being said, I took a second job anyway, not knowing that was in my contract. And both jobs were in different industries. So I want to kind of specify that if you're going to do this, do not work for like a competitor or somebody that is in the same industry that you could kind of have, where they could say that it's a conflict of interest, because you just don't want that. But anyways, I was trying to balance, having 3 and 4, maybe 5 Zoom meetings a day for both companies because they're both remote, right? So no one's in office for either company. So I was doing Zoom meetings constantly. I had to at times do Zoom meetings for both companies at the same time, which can be a little nerve wracking. But you just have to do it. Unfortunately, though, for me, um, someone that worked at my current company knew someone who worked at the company that I was working at, the second company that I was working at. And through the grapevine, it was communicated with someone that I work with that Nick, which is me, also works for this company. And it got back to my manager. So, I was just sitting there. I got a message on Microsoft Teams from my manager that says, "Hey, Nick, we need to talk. And you got a minute?" And so immediately I'm freaking out because I've been paranoid that this would happen. And I get a message from him and So within 30 seconds, I call him and I'm like, "Hey, what's up? What's going on?" And he's like, right off the bat, he's like, "Hey, Nick, I heard that you're working at X company. Is that true?" And I was stunned. I didn't know what to say. It was like, should I lie? Should I tell the truth? How does he know this? He wouldn't just make that up. He knows the name of the company. Clearly, he knows it. So I just said, "Yeah, I did." I was like, "Listen, I didn't feel like I was being pushed enough at this company." And I kind of started spewing some bullshit just to kind of save my ass. And long story short, he cited the breach of contract and I was let go from that position. Now, luckily for me, the second company that I was working for had no idea that the first company I was working for terminated me. So I was able to continue working there, which on its own is a very good living. Just working the one job would be a very living, but the two was definitely very nice. And so, I kind of had to deal with that. And I will say this, it's extremely humiliating if you get caught working 2 jobs when you're portraying the fact that you're only working one. So anybody that's thinking about doing this, I have a couple pieces of advice for you. Always make sure that you're available on video in Zoom or Teams meeting. Because after speaking with my employer that let me go, one of the things he said that kind of piqued his suspicion was that I was never available on video. I wouldn't have my camera turned on for those meetings because I was in 2 meetings at the same time. And so he was like, that was something that we always found kind of weird. And so I would watch out for that. Second is make sure you manage your time so as not to create suspicion with either company. Like if you're going to do this, you have to be able to manage your time in a manner that you can adequately perform the duties of your job for company 1 and company 2 without either one thinking that you're working another job and that's why maybe your work is bad, your quality is bad, your time is bad, etc. And then, kind of the last thing I want to talk about is just be ready. The risks. So if you decide to do this, the reward is that you make double the money. I personally make over $100,000 and I was making $240,000 or $250,000 for the 7 months that I worked 2 jobs. And that's amazing. It helped my family. It's hard to get used to having one income again. But it's really awesome. Now, with that, there are a lot of risks. Career embarrassment, humiliation, getting fired, kind of just the way that the company that fires you looks at you, the way that the company that you didn't fire you thinks of you. You don't want to have a bad reputation as someone who just cares about the money, et cetera, in this field. And that can kind of be the result if you get caught doing this. So, like I said, be careful. There are, rewards of this. It's risk reward like anything, but just know the risks before you go in and make sure that you can manage your time. If it's difficult for you to complete the tasks of one job, definitely don't do this. The only reason I was able to do this was because my first job, I had a lot of free time. Like I was able to complete that job working remotely with maybe 3-4 hours a day tops of work. It was also very cyclical. So I was very busy at, the end of the month, but like from the 5th through the 20th of the month, I really had not much going on. So if you have a job like that where you know that you could actually do 2 jobs, then go for it. But just know the risks, be careful, and don't jeopardize your relationship with both companies so that you can work. Jeopardize your relationship with one company, and make sure that one you're kind of more protective of. That's all I got to say. That's my story of how I got caught working 2 remote jobs, and kind of the aftermath. Let me know if you have any questions. Post any questions directly in the comments. I'm very active. I'm trying to do this YouTube channel thing, and I'm very active. So comment, have any questions, I'll answer them. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. Like, ring the bell, that whole thing, it'd be awesome. So thank you.